If you've bought groceries anytime recently, you know the feeling. You reach the end of the checkout lane, staring at the total on the screen, wondering how a few bags of basics suddenly cost this much. Budget fatigue is a very real, very heavy weight for millions of shoppers right now. Into that high-stress environment comes a massive corporate transaction. Kroger, America's largest traditional grocer, is buying out Giant Eagle, a regional supermarket powerhouse spanning the Mid-Atlantic and Upper Midwest, for $1.65 billion. While corporate executives present to Wall Street about supply chain synergies and expanding market share, everyday people in Ohio and Pennsylvania are asking a much more grounded question: what is this going to do to my grocery bill? To answer that, we must examine a major economic paradox. Does combining two corporations create the supply chain scale needed to slash prices? Or does it eliminate local competition, leaving the surviving company free to charge whatever they want? Understanding which reality hits Giant Eagle stores by 2027 tells us exactly where the future of American food costs is heading. Traditional supermarket chains are currently terrified. They're bleeding customers and steadily losing a brutal price war against massive big box retailers and highly efficient discount stores. The most immediate threat is Aldi. They're executing an aggressive nationwide expansion, vacuuming up cost-conscious shoppers by offering staples at prices traditional grocers simply cannot match on their own. To fight back, supermarkets rely on the economics of scale. This is the financial principle where buying massive, astronomical quantities of goods lowers the cost of each individual item. If Kroger wants to offer cheaper eggs and bread, it needs the combined purchasing power of thousands of stores to negotiate better rates from suppliers. Kroger's specific strategy to drop prices at Giant Eagle involves their own mass-produced corporate brands. By integrating high-volume, highly successful private labels, like their Simple Truth organic line, into Giant Eagle locations, they bypass expensive third-party vendors entirely. Historically, this tactic actually works. Retail analysts like Bert Flickinger note that Kroger has a documented track record of absorbing smaller regional chains and subsequently dropping the prices on the shelves. From a purely logistical standpoint, absorbing Giant Eagle gives Kroger the raw structural purchasing power required to lower the price you pay at the register. But there is a dangerous byproduct to all that scale. When a company buys up its neighbors, it runs the risk of creating a localized monopoly, a situation where a single corporation controls the vast majority of food sales in a specific town or region. Take a look at this map. In a healthy market, these competing stores keep each other in check. If one raises the cost of apples, you just drive across the street. But if a single corporation eliminates those regional competitors, it gains the unchecked power to raise prices without fear of losing your business. We know exactly what this looks like when it happens in reality. During a 2024 antitrust lawsuit in Colorado, Kroger's internal operations were exposed to the public. Court transcripts revealed a devastating internal admission. Kroger executives admitted under oath to deliberately raising grocery prices in specific geographic areas where they knew they faced little to no outside competition. That admission is exactly why independent experts and labor unions are sounding the alarm over this Giant Eagle deal. They argue that Kroger's strategy of regional densification systematically removes the competitive pressure needed to keep your food budget under control. This makes corporate scale a double-edged sword. The exact same corporate bulk needed to negotiate cheaper milk from a dairy supplier also provides the market dominance to quietly inflate the price of that milk if no one else is competing across the street. Because of these intense fears over localized price gouging, the Federal Trade Commission is thoroughly dissecting the math behind this merger, with a final decision expected sometime in 2027. Anticipating this exact pushback, Kroger and Giant Eagle have already pre-committed to a process called divestiture. They plan to sell off specific overlapping store locations to independent buyers, hoping to preserve a baseline level of competition and keep regulators happy. Giant Eagle's founding families held their ground for almost a century, but the brutal math of modern supply chain economics finally caught up. The era of the mid-sized, independent regional grocer is officially over. To survive against the massive operational gravity of Walmart and Aldi, traditional grocery chains are forced into an arms race, combining their resources to become massive themselves. The ultimate price tag at your local checkout counter will depend entirely on regulators. It comes down to whether the government can force these new grocery titans to pass their corporate savings down to you, or if they use their newfound dominance to simply pad their own profit margins.